Hey there, boys and girls. We are going to put on our thinking cap today, and we're going to finish off Chapter 2 with our mental math. So, let's get started. Some challenging practice today. Number 1. Two numbers are rounded to the nearest hundred, then added. The estimated sum is 500. One number is 235. What is the greatest possible value of the other number? So if two numbers are being rounded to the nearest hundred and then added, they equal 500. So let's look at our options first. We could technically have 0 plus 500. We could have 100 plus 400. 200 plus 300. And then we can flip any of those around as well. All right. Now it tells us one number is 235. So 235 is going to round to the nearest hundred, right? So we're going to box that 100. We're going to look next door. The 3 tells us that we're going to round 4 or less, let it rest. So we're going to round down to 200, okay? So one of our numbers is 200. So now we come back over here and we look at that. So it has to be the 200 plus 300, right? So we know that this next number has to round to 300. So the question is, what is the greatest possible value of the other number? So what is the largest number that will round to 300? Well, we could do something in the 200s, like 280, that would round to 300. But we also know we can go larger than 300. We can go 310, 320, 330, 340. We can go all the way up to 300, as long as we stay under that halfway point, right? There's 300, there's 400. Here's our halfway point, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 400. So we know as long as we're not on that 350 line, everything from 349 will all round back down to 300. Therefore, the largest possible value, the greatest value of the other number can be 349. Anything larger than that, and it'll round up to 400. Okay? All right, let's look at number 2. I am a 3-digit number. When you round me to the nearest 10 and to the nearest 100, the answer is the same. What number can I be? Okay, well, let's look at, has to be 3-digit number. So let's look at 100. If I rounded 100 to the nearest 10, it would be 100. If I rounded 102 to the nearest 100, it would be 100. Okay? So my lowest 3-digit number is 100. That's an option. Okay? 101, 102, 103, 104. Now if I go to 105, so these all round to 100. If I'm rounding to tens, they also all round to 100 if I'm rounding to the nearest 100. Okay? If I go to 105, it's going to now go 110 if I go to the nearest 10. It would still be 100 if I round to the nearest 100. Now I go up to the high end of the 100s, and I have 195 would round me to 200, 196, 197, 198, 199, 200. I can continue that list, and I can still say 201, 202, 203, 204. All of these will round to 200 when rounding to the nearest 10. They will all round to 200 when they're rounding to the nearest 100. You could also go 295, 296, 297, 298, 299, 300. 301, 302, 303, 304. These would also all round to 300 when going to the nearest 10 and to the nearest 100. And this would repeat again for 395, 495, 500, all the way up to 995, up to 999. Can't go past that, otherwise I'm not a 3-digit number. All right, let's move on. Miss Avia makes curtains. She needs 356 centimeters of fabric for the kitchen and 517 centimeters for the living room. Estimate the length of the fabric she needs in all by rounding to the nearest 100. Okay, so 356. We're going to round. We look at the 3 because that's in our hundreds column. Now 300, that's one of our choices, is 300. 100 more than 300 would be 400. So these are the only two possible chances or choices that we can estimate 356 to the nearest 100. So now we look next door. I see the 5. Is that 4 or less, let it rest? Or 5 or more, raise the score? That is, 5 or more, raise the score. Okay? So estimated 400 centimeters for the fabric for the kitchen. Now for the living room, she has 517. Again, we are going to round to the nearest 100, so 500 is going to be an option, or 600. Again, let's look next door. I see a 1. The 1 is 4 or less, let it rest, so we're just going to fall back upon the 100 that it shows, so 500. Now, estimate the length of fabric she needs in all by rounding to the nearest 100. So now we're going to take our 400 and we're going to add it to our 500. That equals 900 centimeters of fabric is our estimate. Okay, number 2, if she buys the length of fabric estimated in exercise 1, how much fabric will be left over? So now we have to go back and we need to do the math with the real numbers on here, right? So 356, and we're going to look at 517, and we're going to add those together just like we did up here. And this is going to give our actual value of the exact amount needed. 6 plus 7 is 13. 1 plus 5 plus 1 is 7. 3 plus 5 is 8. So the real amount we need is 873 centimeters. Now, we estimated and purchased 900. If we take away what there actually is, 873, this will give us how much fabric is left over. So we have to carry over. There's nothing there, right? So we have to borrow, and then we have to borrow from that. 10 minus 3 is 7. 9 minus 7 is 2. And 8 minus 8 is 0. So 27 centimeters of fabric is left over. All right, boys and girls, great job with put on your thinking cap. Those are always a challenge. So hope you enjoyed that, and we will see you later.